What's going on, guys? This is your host of New Equity Connections podcast, Ian Starkey. Today I'm hanging out with a new friend of mine, Kaylee McMahon. So real quick, a little backstory about Kaylee. She is an absolute queen, hence the apartment queen name. And she is a stud. She is crushing it in this industry. She currently owns about 730 doors, 730 apartment units spread amongst a couple different apartment complexes. She is under contract and set to close on another 200. I believe it's this month. Is that correct?
Well, it'll end up being the 1st of August.
1st of August. So we'll be right at that 1,000 door mark in a very short amount of time. I'm really excited to have you on the show and just kind of share, how you started, where you're at now, and just kind of fill people in on how this industry works, how apartment syndication really is, and all the beauty of it. So
I got started by accident in multifamily by meeting some people that basically they took kind of some things that I was going through, flipping houses, being a residential broker. I had started in the leasing side of also in the very beginning of my career in real estate, and kind of took all those pieces and put it together into one where it just made more sense. More doors, being able to do what I was already doing, but on a larger scale, which therefore I knew would help me to have a faster growing platform to be able to, whether at the time it wasn't clear, but to provide housing to women who need to get into better situations financially, or whether it's having certain types of programs like that are not related to the property, but part of the company's mission. So I just didn't know how to get there, and it really made a lot of sense. The scalability of multifamily is great. That's kind of how I got interested in the industry. What was the other question?
So it was a pretty broad question, but it was kind of how you got started and then where you're at now. So you got started focusing on helping women in tough situations get into good quality housing. Is that correct?
Well, not really. That was my mission for sure. But how do you do that when you're just like flipping one house at a time? It's really just not, you're making a profit. I was trying to turn that business into a real business where I would do 10 or 15 flips a month. So come up with a system. And again, that was after I had left residential real estate, being a broker. Well, I am still, but basically focusing on residential, and it just didn't make sense. So that mission was always in the back of my head, but I thought it was going to have to be like a 501c3 organization because I just couldn't make it feasible to be part of the actual day-to-day business. And then saw that in multifamily, it made more sense to be able to leverage a lot more, and whether it's providing housing or providing programs or having our mission to however we do that, to be able to empower women financially.
Awesome. Now, empowering women financially, how does that look in your business?
Yeah. So for us right now, we have a fund, and the fund is called Verna Funds. It's my grandmother's name. And she was the woman in my life that kept saying, I think you're worth something. You can do whatever you set your mind to. You're awesome. How are you doing? That was kind of who she was, in the back of my mind, I was going, you can do it. And everybody needs to have a support system, to be able to feel empowered. And that's not even financially, but that's just empowered to like get going and to have the mindset to say, I can start and go and do things and take care of myself. And now currently our deals are all female empowered. So meaning that all of our leadership teams, deal sponsors, are all women. So if I look at the industry with just my eyes, statistics tell me that 70% of the industry is white male, 30% is everybody else. And so out of that 30%, less than 30% are women. And I don't know the exact stats, but my eyes tell me it's about 90-10 or 10% or so. So I'd like to change that and have it to be where there's more balance. So to be able to do that, we need to focus on bringing in more women and kind of overdoing it, if you will, to try to create some balance. So it's just an initiative that we have. We picked highly skilled women that have experience to lead these deals. And then also our LPs, for the most part, are limited partners or women or couples where the woman is either learning or she's actually leading the investment. And then if a man wants to invest in our fund, they can do that by themselves all day long. They just have to pick another female in their life, sister, friend, grandmother, niece, someone in their life that doesn't know too much about real estate or doesn't know much about creating cash flow through real estate. And she gets a read-only access to our portal to be able to see risks, rewards, returns, what our monthly reporting looks like. Sometimes we have fires, things happen. How do we deal with it? And to get a real perspective on, now I'm seeing the returns that, the investor or whoever that is in their life is getting, and they're not doing anything to receive this. So it's just part of kind of like being a part of the actual feelings and the process of participating. And so it's just a less risky way for women to be able to learn. And then, I've got some, dads that are investing with us that have like 5 girls, and so they're like, so for us, we're just kind of pushing our initiative to create more SheVestors, 1 billion to be exact. So, if one guy invests and he's got 5 women in his life that he wants to educate, I mean, that helps us to educate more women on cash flow in commercial real estate.
So really, still syndicating apartments, still operating at a high level. And for those of you who don't know, operating in our space, it's being the leader and the principal involved in an apartment complex. So it's, managing the property managers, managing contractors. It's making sure that you're buying the asset for the right price and making sure that asset's making money. What's really unique about what Kaylee's doing is she's doing this with a focus to really only work with women and really bring more women, kind of pull them up into this space, because it's an incredible space. It provides investors passive cash flow. It provides the sponsor an incredible job, an incredible role to help other people make money and also improve communities. So that's unique. That's really unique that you're very focused on, opening up that door of equality in this space. I can't think of anyone else who's doing that.
I like diversity, inclusion, and equity for sure.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So let me ask you this. Have you had to turn down, or have you yet turned down a male, like joint venture partner or male investors, or would you?
Started in the industry before this initiative became the focus or what the niche is of what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
I had to work with men because that was all I could find in the industry that would work with me. Honestly, like there were some women that I reached out to in the beginning, whether they were brokers or other deal leads and sponsors, and I just got no help. No one wanted to reach back out to me, and that was kind of sad because women go through different versions of life. We have children, we menstruate, we have people that try to, use revenge porn against us. We have there's just a different set of things that we go through. So having the ability to talk to another woman about those things, or when does it make sense financially to have kids? You've been through it, or whatever. It's just the mentor's got to be of your same, of something similar to what your experience is like, so that it just makes more sense. So I had to learn from men because I couldn't find any women that would do that with me. And there's nothing wrong with that at all. But those were the first people that I did, have KPs with me on my deals, and they were okay with empowering me and kind of just being behind the scenes, or partnering with me or whatever was necessary. I did several deals with other men partners as well. But, that was in the position of me learning and me getting started. And so you don't dictate how everything goes when you're getting started. You kind of get the position of learning. So now that I'm able to, get deals, get brokers' attention, lead the deals, I can kind of dictate like how we structure things. And that's just an important thing. And then on the LP side, there's a couple of men in this time frame of my life where we're doing this, Women Forward initiative. And, I've had someone that had $1 million that wanted to invest with us. And I don't know if it was serious because I didn't see any documents filled out, for example. You know what I'm saying? Like people can talk. I didn't get to that point, but to know if it was real or not. But he was saying, yeah. And then it was just a really simple conversation where I said, well, do you have a wife, a sister, a daughter, someone in your life that doesn't know very much about your investing career? And he goes, oh yeah, like they all don't pay attention to what I do. They don't care, or they don't know. And it's like, well, so part of our initiative is making sure that everybody or someone that's key, in your life gets to learn about what's going on behind the scenes over here. And we got into the conversation a little bit, because some people have never thought about this before, because it's like, dude, shit happens. Like, pardon my French, but like you could go paralyzed the next day. You could die the next day. You could get divorced. Like stuff happens. And so putting a woman in a position where she has no idea how to make money or cash flow is really the opposite of empowering a woman. It's financially controlling her. So it's important that we just have the knowledge. And 61% of women, this is in a Merrill Lynch study in 2019, 61% of the women surveyed said that they don't invest because they cite lack of knowledge. It's just a fear of not knowing. So it's very simple. If we could just get the information in front of women, they would invest more, instead of save and donate, they would invest, So that person, I just said, look, it's just not a good fit. Like you can go invest with any of the other men that are leading the deals. There's plenty of them. and they have opportunities as well. So yes, to answer on both sides, yes. But I definitely, of course, to get started, I had to work with who was available and who actually matched up with me personality wise. That was a great person that I was partnered with and mentored by, that both of us really stood for justice. So, I mean, yes, I've had to turn men down now. But in the beginning, we had to work together, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I still work with guys now. Like I mentioned, men can invest in the fund. They just have a little extra criteria. And then in exchange for that, when she gets into the portal and writes a sentence about her experience once a quarter, it's literally a text message sentence. It's nothing. I'll actually bump up his preferred return 25 basis points. So I'm trying to sweeten it a little bit to kind of push our initiative.
Yes, that's awesome. That's no one else is doing that. And it's, I don't want to say the word ignorance is bliss or like sexist old school roles or visions of that, but it's, you hit the nail on the head earlier. It's like, it's almost financially controlling and a lack of empowerment to, have a wife, a girlfriend, a spouse you love that's in your life. And, if you're just, just spoiling her, just, letting her do whatever you want, or not educating her on what you're doing to provide for you both, it's not okay. And it's a closed-minded way of thinking, and it doesn't really help someone long term. So
yeah, love to me is about taking somebody and putting them in a better place than when you found them. So I think that true love is about helping someone and promoting someone. So anyway, just putting that thought out there.
Mm-hmm.
But I agree.
Mm-hmm. It's unique. That's unique. So it's really just helping women be more financially sound.
Savvy. Yeah.
Savvy. Okay. So yeah, that's awesome.
And we can do that. The cool part is we can do that in an industry where it is like the number one wealth creator. What is it? 93% of people that become millionaires do it through real estate. So it's like, well, then let's do that. That's a kind of a quicker way to catch up. If I said like, let's do this with women in tech or women in oil or women in, other industries, it would not be as effective, I believe. I mean, I could be wrong. There could be that unicorn woman that does another Google, but real estate is very sturdy, and it's not going anywhere, and it's scarce. So it's going to create wealth.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely. And I mean, you're in the most scalable side and sector of real estate, I believe, is out there. Syndication, you can syndicate anything, really. I mean, the event that we met at last weekend, it was a Michael Blanc's event, Dealmakers Live, and there's a gentleman there. He talked about syndicating the Cowboys. We're in Dallas, and I was like, you really could do that. You really could. I mean, obviously Jerry has a lot of money himself, but I mean, who's to say the next person who buys the Cowboys or buys whatever doesn't lead a team of silent partners that trust and believe in that individual to run the show? And
I believe that's what they do at Green Bay. I think with the Packers, like they have like stock for all the owners that are members or whatever. I believe that could be incorrect because anyway.
I mean, yeah, what's to say a woman doesn't buy a franchise? A woman doesn't do that. And it's all owned by other women. I mean, that's awesome.
There's unlimited possibilities for sure.
Unlimited. So what is so right now you're approaching that 1,000 unit mark. You have the fund. What is the next 5 years look like for Kaylee and this group and this mission? What does it look like?
So I think, as I was saying earlier, I'm pretty good at like being a visionary. So I always have the ideas in my head of like what it's going to look like long term. Mm-hmm. So I'm glad I can answer that question. Yeah. So I found some people that also are in alignment with what I'm already envisioning, which is cool because then it's kind of obvious those are the people that I want to work with. But I don't know if it's going to take I don't know how long this will take. We just were like, we want to hit 1,000 units this year. So that's like the first unit goal, if you will. And so what I've been told by some other ladies that have the same vision in mind of using our women-owned business status, or sorry, it's a small business SBE, small business enterprise, WBE was women business enterprise. So I got certified for those, and some other ladies did too in the industry. And they all see the same promise of saying, okay, well, let's take our community centers, or let's take our clubhouses that we have that are kind of not being used for that much awesome stuff, and be able to create after school programs, whether it's for childcare, whether it's for just after school care, or even all day daycare, depending on the age of the kids. So for the single parents in the community who just have one income, for example, being able to help them not have to subsidize or have a second mortgage, if you will, worth of money going out for sending the kids to childcare, and have the government programs that we can qualify for used in that way. And we talked about, how are we going to actually do that well? Okay, well, we need to have like 5,000 units as a group. We need to have one community manager that goes around to all the different properties and make sure that the government funds are spent using scale, so that way we can use they can do more good. If we had one little property and we're, what I'm saying, like you have access to cheaper supplies, better internet rates, all kinds of things that we're doing, it would just be more effective. So that's something that 1,000 units is, this year, within the next, say if it's me, Elisa, trying to remember, there's two other ladies that have told me they already had the same idea. So if we're all in the same boat, I would say if there's 5 of us and we can hit 1,000 units a piece, I would say that we could tackle that within the next year. And then I can walk them through how to get certified. But anyway, so that's say the next 2 years or so. And then what I really see long-term meaning, say like 5 years, is having a team of women for each city. For example, I'll start in Texas. And so, for example, Dallas, Austin, Houston, all the major metro statistical areas, and have like what I like is the 3-legged stool. That's what I like, where you've got someone that usually has the net worth, the liquidity, the experience. They can kind of KP the deal, and they can kind of be your board of advisors when things are not going well, because they don't go well sometimes. Mm-hmm. And then also having someone that is just a killer at capital raising, so they can focus on that. However, the whole team has to participate in that. But sometimes when you have a person focusing on one thing, they're really good at it, versus doing all the things. And then someone that's more operations, that can execute the plan, organize things, give people, here's what to do by then, keep them accountable. And then of course, we'll have, so I see just the 3-legged stool in each city in Texas, and then basically being able to let those women lead and train other women working on standard operating procedures now of like, how do we raise funds? How do we find a deal? And then other things that we're adding as far as like security procedures and things that really help us in a kind of risky industry, help our investors, and also help us to avoid the cycle of litigation or avoid like bad people. And I want our investors to know that we spend extra time and money like vetting the people that are involved with us. So I guess that's the vision that I see in the next 5 years.
Okay. Building a woman-run empire.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah. That's awesome. So a team of women in every city and in Texas starting out, that's just buying out more of these assets, running them more efficiently, and kind of bringing up more women probably in each city as investors, as limited partners, to participate and enjoy those passive gains from the properties.
Investors tend to really like things that they can touch and feel and see. And so you're exactly right. For example, I've got a group of people in San Antonio that if I was doing a deal in San Antonio, I could raise the money really easy with them. Same thing with Houston. There's a couple of families that are there that they're like, if we can just have a JV position, we can help raise all the capital, no syndication. So each city has its own set of like families and its own set of capital. But if they see something local, they're all about it. Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
Oh, and then we do these women's tours too, whenever we, or just, it's like a closing tour is what we call it. But I ask everyone to bring a woman. Like, so I ask them to please bring their sister, please bring their daughter, please bring whatever. So once we close, we'll kind of do a walkthrough on the property and show everybody, okay, here's what we're thinking with the value add plan. Here's how this is going to work. Here's our time frame that we're thinking. For me, I'm a tactile, and I don't know what you call it, but like hands-on learner. So there may be a lot of people like that. I don't know. But if you never have exposure to watching other women in an environment of like construction, for example, or in an environment of like, I get dirty and I get down in basements and stuff. Like, you gotta, it's not like your gender standard where I'm in a dress all the time, but you got to see that as a little kid to go, oh, I can do that crap too. I can carry a hammer. Okay, fine. So we do that as well.
That's awesome. That's awesome. You're changing the dynamic. You're changing the the status, the structure. I would just say changing the dynamic of a woman's role in business and in this area of the business. So that's cool. That's really
Yeah,
cool.
maybe someday before I die, a young woman that's like 31 years old or 25 or whatever in multifamily, whenever she gets met by people that are older than her, maybe the first set of questions she doesn't get are, so are you an insurance agent? Are you a broker? Are you the whole list? Are you a realtor? Are you like the whole, no, I'm a principal, and I say that waiting for them to kind of get down that list, but that's the interaction that's super normal to everybody because it just blows their mind that someone that, is young and a female, I guess, that they can do a little bit of what I've done, so, but anyone can do it. You just got to work on yourself and have self-confidence, and self-confidence comes with struggle, and apply that to in your mental toughness and your grit and your resilience to your business, and you can do it.
Absolutely. And what age did you get started at? I know we talked about this, but just for the people listening.
Yeah. So I was in multifamily starting about 4 years ago. So, 2017 or 18, something like that is when I started. So, and then also the other thing too, is like, if you don't get started, regardless of the cycle of the market or the year, whatever, like if you don't get going, you'll never get going. So anyway, yeah, about 4 years ago.
How old were you when you bought your first deal? Even though it was a bit of a mess, how old were you when you bought that first deal?
I guess 27 when it closed. Yeah. Yeah, of course it was a mess. Oh my God. Like, I don't know what you're doing. And you have people behind the scenes to help with as much as they can help while you're trying to go after it. And if I would have gone back and redone that again, I would have had more advice, more people. Like, for example, like I had some stuff recently and I had to reach out to Kenny Wolf, and he gave me some great ideas. And like, my partner, Amy, great ideas. Like, Dustin Miles, great ideas. Like, just people that have been in the business for a while. There were situations where you deal with someone that thinks you don't know what you're doing, or they're bluffing, or whatever. And if you have that advice, it's really it makes it doable to do these types of transactions and not necessarily have it be a complete shit show. I mean, sometimes it is, but anyway, so that way you just don't lose your reputation with that broker, because if they have to go through like too much of a shit show closing, like they're not going to give you other stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
They make more money than I do. Seriously.
That's awesome. And I guess a closing thought for that girl that's going to watch this, that has seen the syndication, has studied a lot of different operators, a lot of different sponsors. What would you tell her? If she's like really wants to get in it but isn't sure if she can, isn't sure if she should, what would you tell her? What would you say to just give her that nudge?
Yeah, I guess coming to the table with some kind of confidence and knowing like what you're good at would be really like a really good idea. Because if you're coming to somebody who is just like doing a million things, and then boom, you pop up and you're like, I'm really a badass at social media, or I'm a really great underwriter, or I'm really great at raising money, or I'm really whatever it is, that if you talk to like another lead or whatever on a deal and you go, what are the key competencies, or what are the things that are like necessary to get a deal done, or you're awesome at negotiating, or whatever, if I didn't already say that, what can you bring to the table? And then kind of coming to the table with to people that you've checked out, that you've kind of asked around about them, check online. And then if you need more resources, go to bigsistersecurity.net. And that resource can help you actually deep data search and to scrape data to be able to see like what this person's behavior patterns are, and to avoid people that have really naughty behavior patterns in business that maybe they haven't been caught for yet. So the point is do a little bit of due diligence on who you're approaching, have something that you're confident that you have a skill, and say, I can bring this to the team, and be like confident that you can actually do it, not just fake confidence, like kind of do it before. So I've had a lot of people coming to me saying I can capital raise, but they've never done it before. So it's a little bit different when you say, I've never done it before, and you just come out of the woodwork and say, I'm just going to do it, versus you've spent the time also to hone your skill, where you've maybe taken a couple classes on, or not classes, but spoken to other people about how they capital raise. There are seminars and things like that specifically for capital raising. The Family Office Club actually has a certification of how to do it. And that's kind of what I model all my stuff off of, is how they've taught me how to be unique, how to do social media, certain publications that I've made, etc. That came from them. And then having that list of people that you have already spoken to and you've already talked to them. Hey, this is what I'm going to be doing. Hey, I'm going to look at getting you this range of return. Does that sound interesting? If I were to call you in the next 6 months, do you have capital available? Put all these things in a spreadsheet and take copious notes. And that is a huge value. Don't ever, by the way, show somebody that list. Don't let them have a Google link to it. Don't let your assistant have a link to it. Like, I'm a pretty open person, but that's the one thing that after having corporate jobs and things, you spend years of your life, and you don't have very many years on this planet, building your contact list. And these people will follow you wherever you go because they like you and they believe in you. But so don't ever show that to anyone. But you can basically, you could even send someone a screenshot and redact some stuff. You could like send them a screenshot and then maybe like use a white squiggly to white out their numbers and half of their name or whatever, and say, I have a list of people that have given me lots of information about when they're ready to invest, how much they're liquid, all this stuff. And so that is a value to bring to a team. For example, if you're said my strength is capital raising, but you've never done it before, but all the other things like I'm a great negotiator. I mean, you'd have to have something in your past where that's what you did all day, So yeah, have a skill set and then do your due diligence on people. But saying trust but verify, but like actually verify. Don't just like Google them, and if they murder people, then you find something. There's other insidious things that happen that are not all over the news yet, but they're very important to know. So anyway, like I said, if you need resources with that, we can help you with that as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Kaylee, it was a pleasure. This will not be our last podcast. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today.
Thank you.
In the workout clothes, get it in, hit a flick. Kaylee McMahon, people.